Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, guys, it is my habit to welcome our guests because I know they're coming with a couple of things I deem very expensive. That is their time. Man, I tell you one thing, I had to learn about the value of time. I had to learn how to love her, respect her, and honor her. And when one does that, it's amazing how she assists you in becoming who you are. It's a powerful partnership when you learn and respect and honor her. The other is the journey. The journey is a creator. It created the individual that is before us. And so I'm excited to welcome Anna with all of her wisdom, our knowledge, our insight, so that we can have this beautiful conversation, that we can learn from her so that we can become better human spirits while we're here on this planet. Thank you for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me on your show. Looking forward to talking to you and to your audience.
You're welcome. Introduce yourself and tell the people. I always ask this question on the onset. How do you serve mankind?
Yes, that's not a small question, but a good one. My name is Ornova. I'm a career coach, and specifically how I serve humankind right now is by helping men overcome midlife and mid-career crisis. I believe midlife and mid-career crisis is a crisis that's given to humankind to unlock the next level of being, to upgrade your trajectory, so to say, as a human being, and specifically for men to open to how they can serve mankind better, right? More from their true essence, more being on their purpose and creating impact and income that way. So that's why I found my purpose through trial and error over many years, coaching people, coaching men specifically through career dilemmas that roughly 35, 55 years of age. It's roughly this period of time is when a lot of people get stuck in their careers, in their lives as well. They feel something is not working, things not making sense anymore. Men often get stuck at work, derailed, stagnant, unhappy, burnout. They feel energy, their life is losing energy. There may be some mental health issues. There may be some problems in the relationships, all sorts of things. And so basically they feel somehow things are not working. And I am helping them see how this is an opportunity, and I'm helping them find an opportunity to unlock their potential. Because I like, Ken, what you said about time. So I believe midlife is the point in our lives when we start be acutely aware of time.
Yes.
That basically we have we don't have, it will not last forever. That this is a limited resource. And so a lot of men who come to me for advice, for career coaching, they tell me the same thing. I feel I have so much potential. I have so much to give, but I'm not realizing it. I'm not realizing it. And I live so always in dream that someday I will do that. I will shine my light. I will give this, share these gifts with people. I will launch my own business. I will provide this service, right? I will do this. I will sing. I will, have my own show. You name it.
Yeah.
I will fly my own plane, have my, school. And midlife is the time where someday should become today.
Yeah.
This is the last call to say, well, now is the time. If you've been postponing it for so long, and I'm helping men in a practical way to find a way to actually relaunch themselves on this new trajectory so they can start using their gifts, their talents, their skill sets, what they've been born with and what they've acquired in the previous, half of their life, to share them with others and be happy and make impact and income that way as well.
Assignment. This is my belief. I believe that we are not the body. I believe we are the scientists and psychologists say the subconscious mind. Religion will say the soul of man, and I believe that is who we are. And I believe that we came here, all of us. I believe we came with assignments. The job will never make you happy. Your assignment will make you happy because that's what you were called to do. That's why you were born here. And I believe that on midlife crisis, if you will, because I remember mine, Anna. I remember my achieving all of these accolades and then sitting there going, what have I done? And I remember that, after you achieve all of these things and that restlessness is beautiful because I believe it is it's an indicator that you're not where you should be. And there's nothing like it. And I think every man needs to honor that disturbance, if you will, because it's crying out saying, there is more of you. There is more I need from you. Because I remember mine and I thought I was all by myself. And then one day I happened to pick up a GQ magazine and the article was about midlife crisis. And when I realized that, wait a minute, there's more men going through this, I'm not alone, it helped me through to begin escorting myself out of there. But I went into a depression, if you will, because I thought I was all by myself and so forth. So what an honor for that. And I'm very curious as to a female having the call to be a guide to men. So that's what I wanted to tell you about. I said, I want to see how that translated to you and how you were escorted to that assignment. And we're going to dig into that a little later. One of the customs that we have here, Hannah, is to go back into our childhood. It is one of the very first space that we visit when we come into this plane of the earth. And we spend some time with some strangers. We call them mom and dad, our brothers and sisters and so forth. And we learn from them. What was your family like?
Thanks, Ken. Good question. I'd like to tell you what I've learned through many, many years of being a coach is that any person in helping profession means the family life, the family origin life was dysfunctional. And in that sense, it was the best school ever for what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Right. For instance, curious what you've just said about female working with men. It actually came to my life through a very professional guidance. Like I basically worked with a professional strategy coach who analyzed my previous portfolio of clients over the previous 10 years. And that's how the advice came about having, needing to specialize. And also because I wanted to go online. So that was a very advice. That's how. And then I started doing it. And at first it was purely about, I will come to family, don't worry. I'm not avoiding here, but purely about sort of what sort of mid-career transition and all that. And then underneath this I noticed that there is a bigger theme there, which is about, so this midlife crisis thing. At first it wasn't clear to me. I just know that we just found with the strategists that I seem to have worked best with clients in this kind of mid-career range who are looking for change, something working, and help them unlock the new path. That was it. And then as I started specializing, as I allowed myself to, specialize more, work more with this niche, with these clients, I started to see there's like an undercurrent there of a deeper question, really, we went from mid-career to midlife, and then more, for lack of better word, existential crisis of who am I, why am I here? And I've lived half of my life and I've done this and I've achieved a lot. And let's not devalue that. That was for a reason. But now I'm and the rest of my life, I still have a lot to give and I want to give it. And maybe I'm called to do something different. So that's how it kind of evolved. And then already in hindsight, I thought, hey, that's as cute. And of course, I had myself a question, but why men? Why only men? A lot of sort of coaches, without knowing my previous work, would say, well, you're a woman. So you had a good career, you should help other women, something like that. That's the logic, right? But I thought, no, somehow it worked the other way around, so it's somehow it was like my feminine needed to work with this masculine or something like that. And one of the answers actually came from my childhood. When I was born in a family, it just so happened again that my both grandmothers died. So I've been surrounded by men. And then my uncle, who was very, very close to my parents, lost his wife very early. It was like within a couple of years of my birth. So basically, I looked at it recently, already being in myself in midlife. So, hey, curious, there's a child born, a little girl, and she's surrounded by five, six very close adults. And only one of them is a woman, my mother, and the rest of them men. So when most of my, let's say, peers talk about being taken care of their grandmothers, I had no grandmothers. I had no feminine presence.
Yeah.
My mom was also a career woman. She was leader. She was a boomer, a true one. So I literally men took care of me. Like one of the close adults in my childhood was my grandfather. Then later in the teen years, there was another grandfather. I actually was supported and guided by men a lot. This is curious,
Wow.
right? So I only realized when I asked myself the same question, why me?
Yeah.
I was really curious. That does. I spent a lot of time with this man. Like my uncle would take me to museums and show me. Not my aunt. Little girls spend with their like aunts and grandmothers, right? For
Yeah.
me, they were men. I also
Wow.
happened to have like a lot of uncles, a lot of cousins, second cousins, third cousins, were all boys, men. They're all older than me mostly. So I also have this kind of a lifelong study, if you will, about how men navigate. And I also noticed something very curious is that in my family, for instance, in a part of my family, because I have 5 lineages actually. That's to your other question. I have 5 lineages
Mhm.
also to study and research from. So in my family, for instance, when I watch those men over my lifetime, and also looking at great grandfathers and so on, I noticed that there were like for men in my family, there were 2 types of kind of life expectancy, so to say. There were guys who had either near death or some severe health problem somewhere at midlife, which had to be addressed, like a severe heart attack, near death experience, other
Yeah.
very serious health problem, which kind of derailed men in some way, and then it launched the man to a new life path, forced. Let's put it forced. That really had
Yes.
men in my family who really like completely formed midlife or later midlife, and they lived a longer life. And there were other men. Unfortunately, among them was my father, who never suffered like a health, never been in a hospital, although the life was hard. Then and so did not really address a midlife crisis properly, did not resolve it, did not do the work. Boom, he was dead
Mhm.
65 suddenly in his sleep, right? So they faced decline, rapid decline after the midlife. So that I noticed, and I actually was when I started to notice that in my clients, actually there is a bigger theme under their career. That's they suddenly want another job, they suddenly feel demotivated, disenergized, whatever, things not working, things not making sense. That there's a deeper thing. I started to also read a lot of research. My clients send me a lot of research, the books, and I found that actually it is a common theme that if a man does not resolve a crisis, it doesn't see that, well, this is actually, as you said, Ken, this is a calling. This is a knock on the door.
Yes.
There may be more
Mhm.
available to me, but I have to do some
Yeah.
work to get there. I have to trust the
Yes.
calling and I have to change some way, transform myself. Then there is a longer trajectory available, new energy, new life, basically, like a second or third act. But if not, then usually there is a stagnation and there is decline. So it's almost
Yes.
like
I agree.
that trajectory is just then waning off, and that is it. And even if hopefully it's not like a early death, there's still a life that is kind of dead inside, which,
Yeah.
which is not a life of inspired service, of fun, of energy. It's more like of existence, things like that.
Yeah.
So that's, for instance,
Complacency is a
how
killer.
I chat. Yeah, well, it's not even just complacency. You said that we are not our bodies, but that's how when this energy is off, then the bodies, they just function, but they don't really they
Yeah.
become a burden, right? So, but it is not there. So they're just like a basically dead inside, things like that. So in a way,
Yeah.
yes, my childhood informed that, but it wasn't my subconscious. It was consciously. Well, now I will do that. No, it's already. And then through learning my clients' stories, I started to see, yes, I am a child. That was what I saw as well. Remembering, what
Yeah.
so that definitely served me.
Oh, well, I think you were very familiar with the male energy, and there
Yes.
was a form of comfort there for you. And so you're able, part of your assignment being there is a degree of deep comfort that you have. And so when you speak from that place, I'm sure you carry a sense of like power in the sense that you belong here because you're very familiar with that type of energy. Whereas, as you said, some women, if they were called there and weren't familiar with that, they'd be questioning themselves all the way through probably every single day. But because of
Yeah.
how you were brought up, there is no question. You
No,
recognize
questions
that.
always came from outside, right? And I felt
Yeah,
you're right, actually. I never thought of that. The energy was very familiar. It was natural that I would sit among men and listen to their stories, or be with a man like my uncle, my another uncle, my cousin, my another cousin,
yeah,
another grandfather, or my father, and listen to these stories. And because they lost their women as well, their female
yeah,
partners. I guess there was a lot of grief, and they were also sharing. There was reflection. There was shared those, So in a way, if you look at me listening to them, it's what I do as a coach, right? So it was
yeah, yeah,
natural, and I also could read an emotional context as well, which men never kind
yeah,
of shared up front. It was kind of implied, but also how men from my family, pointed me at how they dealt with emotions, which is not the same as women. I've never cried, for instance, but how would they grieve, right? How would they navigate grief, and how would they show that they're grieving, right? So things are, yeah, exactly. That being a child at a very subconscious level, and so I was subconsciously or unconsciously competent at those things, but of
yeah,
course that's I couldn't use them professionally. So in
yeah,
a way, again, that goes directly to what you were saying about trauma, because in a way it is traumatizing to a child to hold so many adult emotions and unprocessed grief, for instance. It is traumatizing
yeah,
experience. It's overwhelming, which of course I
yeah,
didn't know. But basically, I spent almost half of my life learning the adult tools that would go together with my subconscious awareness. And I can
yeah,
practice already as a professional in a conscious, aware, competent way, to help people
yeah,
through those unprocessed dilemmas, emotions that actually become key derailers at midlife, mid-career, right? But as a child, I first was like a little bit fed fire hose, fireman's hose.
hmm,
It took a bit of time to process, make sense of it. Well, a bit of time, 30 years or something. And then I realized, hey, I think these two
yeah.
go together.
It's
So yeah,
wonderful how life is.
yeah, I believe, and actually the trauma often happens at the place where our essence is. I believe we're born with essence. This
Yes,
essence, whatever you call it, people would say call it divine essence, others whatever, but it's like a core, our core. And from
hmm,
this core, we want to give this essence, this gift, this talent to the world. But we are not equipped as children to do that.
yeah,
We're not socialized. We lack the toolkits, and that's where the trauma often comes, because the essence is
yes,
strong, and the stronger the essence, usually the more likely the trauma, because
yeah,
we're kind of trying to share it,
hmm,
and but it's not working, or it's too strong. It's almost like, I don't know, you have uranium inside you, but you don't know how to use it in a safe way. So you just go, and it becomes a trauma. And then your family, of course, their main concern is safety, right? The main concern is safety, so that you're safe and that you're socialized in a way that protects you. So then our essence gets all sorts of manipulation, and sometimes we are taught to hide it away.
yes,
We taught this is shameful. This is not for instance, I work with men. This is not for a guy to be like that. Men are not
yeah,
like that. So take it away, put it away. Don't never show it, right? So that is trauma. So
yes,
but then man leaves, and he's like, "Where's my essence? I'm doing well, but I'm not using my essence." It becomes a hollow experience, and at midlife, it's almost like saying, or I don't know exactly, but it's like it's knocking on the door, saying, "I'm coming out now, or
yeah.
never." You got to start
It's
using
all,
it, but there's fear. There's
yes,
fear because there's fear of, last time I used it, not good. It was shameful. It was painful. It was guilt. I don't know. It created a lot of chaos or something. So I must not use. So that's where the work needs to be done, because in this time, the man has grown. Now he has the instruments and the competences to integrate the essence at a new level. Now it can
yeah,
shine. So sorry,
yeah.
that was a long speech, but I think that's
No,
basically
that is perfect.
that's what I am in service of.
Yeah, it was perfect, and I think the explanation and the of how things work and put together as you laid it out, it was absolutely perfect. So here's this girl. She is growing up amongst men, only one woman, mom, and mom is, she's not your conventional woman, if you will. When
No.
being in that grouping and you're now looking towards going to college and you have heard trauma, you've heard it from the male point of view, because we do deal with it different. We are told by society not to cry, not to show certain emotions, not understanding that the real man would needs to cry and need to show that emotion so that he can become whole. That when there's a lot of men that are not whole because we have been hiding our emotion and our pain for many years, and as you said, sometimes when that shaking comes, we call the crisis, the midlife crisis. Based on how we respond, we either go up or we go down. And so here she is. She is now looking to head out from the covering of mom and all the others, and she is going to create her world. As far as college, which college did you pick, and why did you pick that college?
Wow. Well, I would say also, Ken, before we hit in the midlife crisis, the first crisis we hit is the teenage years. This is where we first get a chance from the childhood. So we're born with essence, then we try to use it, and we usually, something happens, and then at teenage times is when we actually have a first go at actually being ourselves in the world, right? So this is the essence. I want to bring it to the world, and then actually some people are successful. They find their path that way, but this is where we very strongly feel, well, this is what I meant to do. Well, my parents were asking me, so what do I want to do? And I was completely unclear, but I told them I just don't want to do it. I don't remember saying that, but they told me this is what you're doing, mom and dad, not me. So I was really lost in a way, and doing a philosophy degree as my first degree because a friend of a friend kind of said that was fun, and you can basically explore all sorts of ideas and metaphysics, and without actually committing to anything and without committing to a career yet. So I thought, okay, that's not bad, Also, by the way, the men I grew up around, there was a lot of philosophy talks and all sorts of talks and arguments and discussions, let's say discussions. So I kind of went that way, and I have to say, I don't think in my degree actual let's say major subject matter was what I was meant to do, because I actually was not that interested. I generally a very keen learner, very curious mind, but I was really bored with subject matter, a lot of it. Well, some was interesting, I would mind. But I noticed something as a teenager, which also, again, I noticed later. For instance, of course, I had girlfriends and I had boyfriends and I had just boy friends, boys who were my friends, right? And I noticed something, that sometimes the boys would come to me, and my parents often would go like to the summer house and something. So they would come to me, not as a boyfriend, but just come and say, "Hey, can I stop by?" Yeah, sure. So the boy would come. I remember this. It was several times. It was just one guy, and we just sit and we just chat about nothing and laugh a lot, or very stupid jokes, laugh a lot. Hey, let's play Monopoly. Yeah, let's play Monopoly. So we play Monopoly game. It's just like for 2 hours, and laughing and laughing and laughing. It says, okay, then I'll go. Bye. He leaves. Then again he comes. Then he tells me, this girl, I like her, but she's like, okay. And then the guy, he comes again and says, you know what, that girl, I actually, and I would give some advice, but like, hey, you can do this, that, or whatever. So then he comes and says, you know what, that girl and I, we hooked up, and he stops coming to me. And for me, it was normal. I was like, okay. And then I remember there was not just one, several like this. And I thought that was interesting. It's almost like they just needed, they just needed some female presence, and they just needed to be seen, and they just needed, not to be under pressure, but be accepted somehow. And this is what, in a way, that's how it goes with my clients as well, right?
Yeah. You started your coaching business pretty young.
Playing Monopoly. And having about silly conversations and just laughing. I remember that for some reason it's very healing.
Yeah, the beautiful Genesis.
I think
Beautiful
it's
Genesis.
some healing presence maybe, and yeah, I thought so that I observed, and there was a lot of that happening actually during my
Yeah,
teenage years, right before I started to get serious about job and getting corporate, and I kind of locked that part of me away as well because I thought that was not useful. You cannot make money with it, right?
yeah, yeah. It's
So
one
I
of the
went to
lies
did
that they tell us.
then I went to get my master's degree, and I was actually asked. I asked some other people for advice. What can I do in the corporate world that would involve working with people? So I was HR is the thing. So I went. I did my master's degree at a very good school in London, London School of Economics, and I was like, now I'm gonna be like the serious person. And I had myself in that career, and this is exactly where I felt, as my clients shared, they felt. I felt like there's literally part of me I took and locked away because it was useless in terms of money making. It almost useless is to be a grown up. So it was like discontinued in a way. And then I started to
Yeah,
grow my other side, which is more like a public image, as a successful manager,
yeah,
which actually is a more masculine side as well, kind of. So I started to go that way, which I mean may be natural because my role models were mostly men, as I discussed with you, right?
yeah,
So in a
yeah,
way, I was like going that way, and we kind of start growing apart with that
yeah.
healing feminine presence, the coach, whatever she was, right? By then, of course, the word coaching I didn't even know in that context.
Yeah, that's great. I love that because uh, I tell people, Anna, that everything you do in life will be used. You may not see it yet, but you are being groomed. And every space that you stop for a moment, where I tell people, where you rest, if you will, and gather data, that data will be utilized at some point when you have learned how to take your trauma and use it now to serve others. But that data will be useful again. So here you are, you began to get into the corporate world, and I know the corporate world has its own programming as to how you behave, talk, walk, and all those different things there. And you are in the arena, and you're still having the male energy and a part of you. What was happening to Anna, the woman, while she was there in that space with the corporate world? What was happening to you after you've gone home? You are on your own, you're sitting in your house having a glass of wine from a hard day. What was happening to you?
On hold, Ken, on hold. Honestly, on hold. It's almost like there was a period of, I don't know, 15 years almost, and I was on hold. Yeah, I had like trips with my girlfriends. I had a boyfriend, and we started living together. And but I literally felt like the female part of me was on hold because it was judged as not being useful to me.
Yeah.
I also seriously doubted that I would want to have a family of my own, and I seriously doubted. In fact, when I turned 30, I announced to my family, my mom, that I will not have children, and I will have a family of my own. I had a dog. That's something I always wanted. But, that's basically was because I really felt now looking back, it felt like I just don't want it. But looking back, I realized that I was just locking it down. I locked it down because somehow I felt it was not, I didn't know how to use it. There was no program
Yeah.
for it, for me to use it. So it was just locked down, and until things started mystically going wrong, very wrong, like
Yeah.
within a matter of a year. I started to having so my major crisis was around 30, which I noticed actually a lot of women have the major crisis around 30, not midlife
Hmm.
when men do around like age of 40, but the previous 10 years earlier. I had a major one. Every area of my life basically derailed. And I also had well, it wasn't a strictly speaking near-death experience, but I was involved in a boating accident where we I mean, basically the boat sank, so we were rescued. So I did not go through the near-death experience as people describe it, but I was very close to my life was very close to ending for all of us on that boat during the diving trips. We were rescued, and I was very shaken. My career was derailing. I had major conflict at work. My dog died, who was with me for 12 years. Was suddenly diagnosed with cancer and died. So it literally happened within a matter of 6-8 months. All of these things. I remember it was like, now looking back, of course, it was like I was shaken like that. No, this life will not continue, because part of me felt very empty, hollow inside, and that's when I at first I started to get back on the horse, as all my clients also want, is always I have to get back on the horse. And what we don't realize is sometimes yes, you do have to get back on the horse, but it's not going to be the same horse, because that horse dead. And then you have to dismount, like they say, right? If you're riding a dead horse, it's not a good strategy. You have to dismount. So you have to first dismount and feel the void of not riding anywhere, not knowing where to go, and then the new path will appear. And that's how it happened. And actually, that's when suddenly me and my boyfriend at the time decided we do want to have a family, and we actually. I had a first child. We have a second child. So we have 2 children. They're teenagers now. That's been a wonderful chapter of my life. But honestly, a year before that, I was like, I didn't see that coming. And with that, when I got pregnant, it was funny, because I went to like pregnancy school or courses, something like that. And everything they were doing there was so weird and so crazy. I even sometimes left earlier because it just was so weird. Then I started kind of relaxing a little bit, and this teacher lately told me, Anna, when I saw you coming first, I thought, oh my God, how is this woman going to give birth? She's not even a woman. But later you kind of took to it, and I do remember through those, it was just like breathing exercises, and all these things, and imagining, but it was feminine. It was feminine energy. I almost every day I went back home, every time. So when I went back home, I would be crying out of nothing. I thought, what's happening? Oh, hormones. So anyway, that was the feminine coming back into my life. So that's and that's, by the way, where also I allowed myself to try coaching and more serious, because I was already practicing as a coach, but I treated this as a non-serious profession. But while I was on my maternity leave, which was short, but still I had some time off, I thought, why not try it? It seems to be something I really enjoy. Why not trying it more professionally? I started trying more professionally. And basically, I believe now that this maternity leave was like a reflection time. And by the way, I was surrounded by men as well at work, and many men telling me in this management team, they were telling me, you're so lucky as a woman, you have this time off. And you can, like a maternity, you can think about things, you can reflect. They felt they also wanted like the retreat times. Yeah.
That's a powerful story, Anna, because you, for many years of your life, is not in touch with that part of you. And once you are getting the emotions and all the other feelings and the female energy, and your response to it is very interesting, because it's something you're not familiar with. So here you are getting acquainted with the female energy that you have. And you're looking, and once that baby was born and you started the coaching amongst them, as you're dealing with all of these things right there, how did you begin to look at your future? You have the coaching, the motherhood introduction. What did you see when you began to look outwards as far as your projection? What were you thinking? What were you feeling around there? Again, you're dealing with new emotions and stuff like that. What was that conflict that was happening within yourself?
Yes, there was, as you said, there was conflict. There was conflict because it was almost like there was one part of me, very structured, a corporate kind of person, disciplined, who saw the line, who saw everything, like that's how I should go. This is my trajectory. And that person, that part of me, saw everything that was happening as a derailment, as a temporary thing that I have to overcome to get back on that trajectory, back. It was my, like, get back. And even I remember when I was like there was like a farewell party for me to go on maternity. I was terrified. I felt like, because everybody like, hi, waved, and then I went home and I was on my own. And I felt like, oh my God, this career, I've been working so hard for over 10 years, like 15 years. But now I'm like left it and I have to do. It felt a little bit like I felt like a astronaut going into outer space. It's completely on my own, darkness. I don't understand what's happening, and part of me was so overwhelmed by this uncertainty, by dealing with these big things. Of course, I guess the anxiety of becoming a parent, which didn't even kind of occur to me. So I was like, okay, this is like nuisances, and we have a plan to go over it and get back. And of course, then I had this whole, birth experience, everything. And I, by the way, insisted on everything being super social because I wanted to experience. I thought, okay, if I'm doing it, I want to experience the full thing. That was really fascinating. And having this another life in me, and having this anticipation, and then the person appearing, and then it's just like alien appearing, and all that. So it was really fascinating. And still part of me was like watching it. Okay, Anna, you're enjoying yourself there, but that's fine. But we got to get back to business, right? I actually remember one of my uncles visiting us as we had a baby. I think she was like 1 or 2 months old, like tiny baby. And as he was, him and his wife were leaving, he said something like, "But you don't forget to read, right?"
Wow.
Because it was like, it's almost felt like you're not abandoning the enlightened, educated, business-like woman, right? And you're something like that. And I was like, no, I'm reading because I was so, but still. And then I remember, like, I don't know, my child was maybe 3 months old, so I went back to work for a first visit and talk about what's happening. And that was a shock because I came and I was out of work for 6 months, so like a couple of months before, like a couple of months after birth, 6 months or something. I came back into the office and nothing changed. Literally, it was like I left yesterday. Nothing changed. All the project we talked about, like urgent have to be done, they're still there. Still the same meetings, same people going to the meetings. And I was like, what's going on? I felt I was like on this fast train to somewhere. I had to get off the train, but now I'm thinking how to jump back on the train. I thought it was gone, but actually it's not even a fast train. This is just a merry-go-round.
Yes, it is.
It was shocking. I came home, and what I realized, there is no going back.
Yeah.
In a way, that I'm not the same person. It was, even now I feel goosebumps because it's like that was the shock.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way back. And, yes, I did go back to corporate, and there was for a while, but I already felt like I am so changed that I'm not the same person. It's like you cannot go back to step back in the same river twice and all that, So things started changing, yes. And this new, by the way, idea of the new career was also growing because before I was kind of a little bit practicing on the covers. But while I was on maternity, actually first I got my first paying client. I aligned it with my company. They were okay with that. So that part, so what's happening now? That part of me, which was kind of undercover, hidden, feminine, useless, suddenly started to get clients from nowhere. Like my first paying client was very funny. I was actually I went for massage after my birth. I went for massage to get back to my body, so to say. And this massagist, sometimes they like to talk to you. So she was talking to me. She was talking about her relationship problems. And I said, you know what? And I don't like talking during my massage. Why don't we just keep quiet? And then you do me. And then afterwards, I'll coach you on your problem. Because there was the first time she said, what are you doing professionally? And I said, I'm a coach. It's just jump out of my mouth. I'm a coach. And then she said, and then she started to tell me her problem. So I said, I'll coach you afterwards. And basically I did that. She did my massage. After that, I coached her and she paid me the money I just gave her for massage. I spent only 30 minutes. She was caught in a classical drama triangle. So I gave her that feedback and she was so grateful. She paid me the money back. I was going home and thinking, I cannot believe that. I thought this woman was useless. Now she just went for a massage, and masseuse paid her to be coached. So basically, what does it mean if I can coach her and she pays me what she just earned from me? It means I mean, I can do I money anywhere
Yeah.
with this skill set. I felt like, and I was going home, I was dancing. I was like, I had a bottle of champagne in me or something. So I remember that. Before that, I spent about 5 years already coaching people, but it all was, nah, it's not serious. You can't make money with it.
Yeah.
Hey, when this woman paid me, I was like, unbelievable.
Yeah. Isn't it wonderful?
Hidden gem. So that
Yeah.
taught me very valuable lessons, how our ego, because the part that was kind of in control was my ego, right? It was afraid to let go, and it devalued the other part, which actually was a money maker, but also
Yes.
was energized by that. That work seems so natural. I could do it for free, but of course, coaching for free is not a good idea because people won't value your input.
Absolutely.
But then I was like, oh my God, telling myself, this is useless. You will never make money with it. But look at this. That I enjoyed doing it. I loved doing it, and I got paid. That was
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is one of the lies that we have to overcome because they teach us that and they program us from the time we are born and beyond that what you love to do, maybe it's art, music, or whatever, there's no money in it. But I've known a lot of artists and musicians that are making a lot of money in it. And so it is one of the last lies we have to overcome because of belief, if you will, because I teach and I tell people that the gift is designed to sustain you financially.
yes, yes,
Absolutely designed to sustain you. But you have to recognize that the only way it will is that you have to relinquish the belief. And in some cases, you have to relinquish the job because it is simply a job. It is not your assignment that is holding you back from experiencing that religious folks will call it walking by faith because you don't know how you're going to get it, but it's already in the design. It's already in there. And so you have to relinquish that because it's a security that you're depending on. And when you relinquish it, um, it's designed for several things. It'll sustain you, but also it'll bring you joy. It's something you love and you'll be able to um, have a passion about it. And I always tell my kids, find your passion and be passionate about it. And what happens is that once you're doing that, you can work 100 hours doing that and you will not be tired a single
absolutely.
second. And so
And
that's when you
yes,
know that you have arrived, is when
yes,
you are so excited and you've worked plus 24 hours and you're still excited wanting to do some more. And
you're tired,
that,
but
yeah,
you're still excited. That's what guys tell me when you feel
yes,
on purpose, right? You're tired, you
yeah,
may be even exhausted, but you're still excited, inspired by what you
yes.
do, and you can't wait
And
to
you have
just
fun.
have a quick
Yeah,
nap and back at it. Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
I used to
Yes,
tell my
again, this is
kids,
so true, so true. But
yeah,
we are taught to split, and we are
yeah,
taught like, hey, but you have to pay the bill. So what, and this is the purpose. Why don't you try something like a hobby, or when you're retired, or blah blah blah?
yeah,
And I believe you're right, 100%. When you're on purpose, when you're using your gifts directly, you're creating value. They are
yes,
valuable. So you're creating value, and usually 99%, I think probably 100% of us, the value we create is by helping people one way or another. There's some sort of a problem solved or some sort of joy
yes,
we bring into people. Either we helping them the problem or we helping them to enjoy their lives or something, right? Or be
yeah,
inspired. And that is value. And the only person
yeah,
who doesn't recognize it ourselves. So we don't recognize. So we keep it out. As I was telling you, that's useless. You can't make money with it. Of course, I got help
mm-hmm.
from maybe my parents or other experts telling me, that's not valuable. But when you allow yourself, well, like happened in my case, almost accidentally, I was almost like
Yep,
joking with myself when I said, "Oh, coach," and then she said she paid me, and I was like, "Oh my God, I just got paid." For
yeah,
something I thought wasn't valuable, right? And so I believe you're absolutely right. And maybe we were not, these options maybe were not available to all generations before us, but they're definitely
I
available
agree.
now when you
Yes,
go on purpose, when you do what you really meant to be doing, and you create amazing value, and you create and you create income that way. You're making money
Yes.
doing what you really love. And exactly, and because it's what you love, it's because your purpose, you feel fulfilled and you feel energized by that. So
Yeah.
it's a instead of vicious circle, being depleted all the time, working for money, hoping one day to live an inspired
Hmm.
life. Instead of that, there is a different circle, right? There is a different cycle of love, there is a cycle of fulfillment and value that you bring.
Yeah.
That's
I
why, and in
agree.
fact, I developed the system, the 5-step system, how I help my clients to rediscover their purpose and then claim their gifts. Because what we did so far in the half of our life, it's not waste of time. We acquired
Yep.
tools. We acquired tools, and now these tools will help us to use the essence in the valuable way, to serve
Yeah.
people in the right way. So, but they don't know how to combine it. They don't know how to claim it. So I help them to that, and then create these prototypes of how now you can practically. It's not also like, oh my God, I will just drive into sunset and just live my passion. You have to be practical, because a lot of these
Yep.
men, they have families to support, they have bills to pay. So there is responsible way to use your skill sets and gifts in a way that will actually create a new career for the next 5, 10, 15 years, or how long you want to work. And then how we actually start making it happen. So the man then can shift. So in a way, I basically use my experiences of trial and error and failure, and in my own career transitions, that now I built it into a system, and I help others apply it in a more conscious way. In my way, it was like stumble and fall,
Yeah.
and then accidentally,
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
3 times falling, accidentally realizing, or maybe that was the message. So now I help men proactively actually apply this formula, so they can you have me as a guide and know the right steps, not just walking in the dark wood without any guidance and support and any light.
Yeah. And all the guys that are listening, and to Anna's story, and I prefer more than a coach. I prefer the word guide, because a guide is one that is able to walk you through something. The coach will encourage you, but a guide will give you more directions as to what to do. They don't pull the strings; they just help you. And the way they do that is by the question that they will ask you. They will ask you questions, and those questions will give them the location of where you are. One of the things that I used to tell people as an example is, because I grew up in the church, I remember reading the story of Jesus. Jesus is walking in this pool. They said the pool of Bethesda, and they have thousands of crippled people in there. And he looks at this one man, and there's thousands of them. And he looks at this one man and he says to him, "What's your story?" And they told him, "Well, he's been here X amount of years, 38 years or something like that. And he's trying to get in." And Jesus asked him this one question: "Do you want to get healed?" And I remember reading that, and I thought, that's a strange question, because everybody's surrounding this pool because they want to get healed. And the man began to answer him, and he says, "Well, while I am trying to get to this pool, someone else always gets in before me, but I can't get there." And that question that Jesus asked him was to locate him, to see if he really wanted to be healed. Because some people get complacent where they're at, and they're like, fine, I'm
That's
in this
wise.
pool.
That's very wise.
And so he asked him, and when he located him, because the question he asked him was, and what the man's response, Jesus was able to locate him. His response was, "Yeah, I want to get healed, because every time I try to get there, someone else always stopped." And so Jesus recognized that he had, quote unquote, they say, the faith. His belief system was, and when he located him, Jesus said, "Rise, wake up, get up." And the man began to walk out of thousands of people. And everyone else, he just noticed this one man, which is always fascinating to me. And so your guide will ask you questions to locate you. And once they locate you, then they will know the follow up that will
Yeah.
make you
Yeah.
get up and walk. And that's
Ken,
what
I did know
that
that. Sorry
does.
to interrupt. Did you know that story? Sorry to did you know that story that you've just shared? Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing it. But I have to say, first of all, men was 38. That's the kind of
Yeah.
the age of my clients, roughly, right? And also the question, do you want to be healed? I believe that I also tell my clients that or even people who not my clients who just tell me what they're dealing with and that they lost energy, that they're unhappy, that they, that one of the key things is to really give yourself permission to be happy.
Yeah.
Before it's like, yes, it's almost like, I mean, Jesus asked him, do you want to be healed? Do you give yourself permission to be healthy, right? So to be
Yeah.
healed in a way, right? Because I
Yeah.
find that a lot of people believe that somehow they kind of complain, but they believe that it's almost normal to not to be happy and to
Yeah.
work for money, hoping one day it will end, suffering, soldier through their days. And when I ask them, well, do you feel that you can actually do what you love and make money with it and be happy and have your energy back? Some are yes. And these are the guys who will get there. But some are like, it's too good to be true. So they start doubting it. They start doubting that is even available to them. And I'm
Yeah.
not someone who should sell them the happiness. And I believe this. I don't know if I got this story right, but I think that's also you. A
Yeah.
man should feel that he has the right to be happy,
Yeah.
and his family has the right to be happy, and not just the right, it's his purpose why he's here, to be happy and share his gifts, and in sharing be happy, right? And make his family happy, make his clients happy, customers, colleagues, the world, right? So in a way, feel that that's his birthright and claim
Yeah.
it. Then the help
Yep.
will come, then anything will help. But if you doubt upfront that you can be healed, that you can become happy, that you can make money and live your dream at the same time, then I don't think anyone can help.
Because Jesus makes this statement. It says that the Bible says that he couldn't do any work in this particular area because of their unbelief. So then that person
Exactly.
that will, the man that is excited about it, he will be more committed. He will do the necessary work to bring that to pass because he sees it. He sees that there is a possibility. He doesn't know how to get there, but he sees the possibility. And so the guide will be able to locate him, gives him ask him the correct questions that will pull out from him all the things that are residing with him to shift his perspective from the old way to the new way. And once he gets it, then he realizes, wait a minute, I didn't know I can do that. And once he sees that, as Jesus says, rise, wake, pick up your bed and walk. Pick up your bed means that you have to do something. You have to you have to partake within that process. So
Of course.
your clients that are participating within that process will definitely get their healing, if you will, their desired outcome. So here you are, you're seeing all of these things within your life. You've had a chance to fine tune your process and you came up with your four-prong approach to the movement from one space to another. Invite us to one of those precious moments, Anna, where you had a conversation with your one of your clients and you got an opportunity to witness that transition from one to another. And I know the joy that you would bring and receive, but as that individual, we express it because trauma is a stored emotion. And when that process comes and that switching of one perception to another, that emotion rises up and it manifests in many different ways, laughter, tears, all kinds of stuff. It manifests. Invite us to one of those processes that you had that you got a chance to witness that precious transition, if you will.
Happy to do that, Ken. For instance, I just got a message, literally like a couple of days ago, or actually, and it's relevant to podcasting. So I just got a message from one of my ex-clients who said, basically, have it right here. Dear all, so this is like a space where my ex-clients, like alumni space, where my ex-clients can have access to and they share where they are and all that. Dear all, This is the fruit of the mid-career upgrade with Anna. And then he is sharing that he launched his own podcast. And this is a guy who is a journalist. He is working for other people, interviewing, high profile, based in Europe, interviewing high profile people. But for quite some time, he's had his dream of having his own show. And it was so hidden that even we took a while to actually unhide it. It's like, what's the dream? He came because he said there was a dream. He's unhappy. He likes what he do, but he's not happy. He feels he can do more, and he wants to like decide what he does, who he talks to, blah blah blah, all these things. When it was like, it's going to permission, giving yourself permission. But even when we were working together, it took him a while to actually articulate, I want to have my own show. And once he did, something shifted. And the curious thing, again, from my perspective, where I sat, I saw no limitations to him having his own show. I saw already he was doing it. He had all the skill sets. It's just about, a logistic manager to be a writer, or which I also help people do, or a healer. But his transition was very close. And maybe it was difficult because he did believe he had the power to do it for someone else. But he did not believe he had the right to run his own show. And once he said, my own show, something shifted. And we did some work. And so, for instance, when I got this message, I was like, oh my God, he just had his own show. So he actually attached a link to his own podcast. So on Spotify, I can listen to his first, literally it happened like 2 days ago. So I went for a walk listening to him having his own show. That was so amazing. Wow. Even now I have goosebumps again, because that was like, that's it. Something. And I remember what he told me when we had our very, very first conversation, when he found me sharing what's not working. He said he has a lot of business trip, and every time he would be away on a business trip and like in a hotel room or by himself, sitting in a bar somewhere or having a dinner with himself, he said, I would have this dream about running my own show. I could see it in my head. I would make notes on the back of a napkin, but then I would go back to the office, and I woke up in the morning, and everything I just thought about, it felt like I had a dream, but it has nothing to do with reality. So he would go to the office, and he said, sitting in the office interviewing someone else, I felt like this was even almost stupid what I did there. It would never happen. It was almost like a childish dream. And when I listened to him, I said, well, all you lack is the space to grow that dream. So it stops being just this, dream. We just have to make some steps to make it reality. So when I listened to that show, I said, boom, now no one can say that's just a dream. That's just an illusion. It's there. There's a proof show. You can click, I can click, anyone can click, and listen. And that's an amazing show, by the way. It's really interesting. So that's one example. Of course, it's such great joy. I think, oh my God, something wasn't there yesterday. Now it's there. This man found his path. He will not abandon it. It will just grow.
Yeah. And what's the name of the show that the listeners can hear it and they may even stop by? What's the name of his show? Did he mention
what's the name of his show?
Podcast?
Yeah. Well, he just said, listen, I'll give it to you. So the name of the show, So the name of the show is that Big Ideas with Armen Georgian Dreams, or is it Georgian Dreams? Big Ideas with Armen Georgian. And his first podcast was about artificial intelligence and killer drones, which, by the way, is very fun.
I'll tell you what, if with your permission, Anna, when we are putting your together your show notes and stuff like that, and your link. When we are putting yours out, we will also include his link, and I'll mention to go and check out his show for him.
Okay? It does a lot of. He speaks to amazing guy, Mark Brakel, who has a lot of experience in the world of modern warfare and how AI used for weapons and drones and all that. It will terrify you. Yeah, there's a spoiler alert. Yeah. But it also will explain a couple of things about AI if you don't know. And so, that's amazing. So that's this guy. This guy, and I was like, hey, my man, it's amazing. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. All you guys that are listening to Anna's journey and her wisdom and knowledge, I want you guys to get in touch. We're going to provide everything for you to have access to her. You heard her story, her history on the planet, and her familiarity with the male energy and how she's able to articulate that feel of men, because many of us guys, we don't know how to deal with our emotions, which is a very vital part of it. That's why I was very excited to talk to Anna, because she can, as a woman, her foundation was first getting familiar with the male energy, and then she had to get familiar with the female energy in her life. And she talked to that when she testified to that when she gave birth and so forth, and how she, because it's unfamiliar to her, she was crying and all kinds of stuff with it once it began to enter into life. But here is a woman that is familiar with a man's energy and knowing that the man needs to become acquainted with his, if for lack of a better word, his female side, his emotional side,
Yep.
just like she had to do. So she's familiar with it. She knows how to guide you through and hold your hands and walk with you so that you can become free. She gave us the testimony of this gentleman and what he has done. That is living proof. So you guys have proof of Hannah, and you have proof of one of her clients. And so I want to encourage you to get and click onto those links that we're going to provide so that you can become familiar with her. And I want to thank you so much for coming by Threads of Enlightenment and sharing such beautiful stuff with us, your time and your journey. And it is my hope that these men will get in touch so that you can introduce them to themselves.
Thank you very much, Ken. It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to be on your show, and thank you for providing the threads of enlightenment to all of us. And by the way, among those links, just to say that there will be a link to like a free presentation. Anyone can go and learn about midlife, mid-career crisis, what it means, how it feels, see if it resonates. If it does, I will provide for free, like these steps that you can use, right? So you don't have to pay or anything. You can start already using that. And if you have a question, you can also book a call, which is also free. Just to say, like, right, what's important for me is that as many people as possible get access to this information, recognize, diagnose themselves, and feel validated that yes, there is more to life than this, and you can absolutely do it, and you can live the best life, do what you love, and make money with it.
Amen to that. And thank you so much. And we'll provide all that information for them. And thank you again.
You're very welcome, and thank you.